Everybody, Rev Nation here, and as you can see from the title, I've got some pretty big news. Stay tuned. And the big news is that I actually sold one of my Mavericks, and let me explain why, and I'll let you all guess which one I sold once we get a little bit toward the end. So the market has been shifting a lot, and there was kind of a lot of uncertainty out there. And, you know, with me losing my job and, you know, obviously I got another job and everything like that, having 6 cars didn't really seem like a very good idea, right? And I wanted to keep the Mavericks for, you know, as long as I could. I knew I wasn't going to keep both, but when an opportunity kind of presented oneself, it was a bit too good to pass up. So I'll not let everybody, you know, I'm not going to leave you hanging and everything like that. I don't like waiting around for, you know, surprises and whatever. So I'm going to show you right here which one I kept. There it is. So I ended up keeping the hybrid, and the main reason is not necessarily money. So I wanted to keep the hybrid mostly because of health reasons, which, you know, I guess I'll explain. So a long time ago, I was in a horrific accident. I ended up breaking my neck, and I have a bunch of prosthetic discs in my spine. I've got like 2.5 basically, so basically 3 fake spinal discs and a bunch of other crap. And unfortunately, that you know, part of me has been deteriorating quite a bit recently. So I couldn't really go off-roading anymore, right? Because now I'm a risk for like a spinal cord injury, basically. So I ended up, you know, thinking about it, and I was like, okay, well, it's a long drive to the mountains from where I live. It's like 3 hours to any good trails. So I'd only go up there a few times a year. The biggest, you know, thing that I had to kind of fight myself was honestly the styling. I just really loved the way that tremor looked. You know, like I looked back, and there's something really to be said about looking back at your car and just being really happy and going like, damn, that really looks good. Looking back at this thing, I never feel that way. You know. So we had to take a short commercial break for an ambulance going nearby. You gotta love living in the middle of the city. So, but yeah, my health situation was kind of going downhill. I wasn't going to utilize the tremor for kind of anything that it was meant to be used for, in a sense, right? So then I get like a little bit, hey, am I just a complete poser or just sort of, you know, a bit of a poser? I'll let you all decide. Put in the comments how much of a poser you think I would be if I kept the tremor and literally never took it off-road. I've done that with some other vehicles, and it just never really sat well with me. So I will be transparent and tell you how much I sold the tremor for. So I ended up selling it for $36,000, which is a phenomenal price for me to get. And, you know, I felt a little bit guilty, but, you know, the folks offered that right off the bat, and I thought about it and was like, you know what, I'll take it, screw it, right? I got to let one go anyways. And the cool thing is the buyer was actually a young woman. She was kind of in her like late 20s and stuff, and she was really into trucks, and she lived out in the mountains in Pennsylvania, so she like drove all the way down here to get it. Unfortunately, they asked to not be filmed. I wanted to film kind of the whole, you know, evolution, the transaction, me showing her about the truck, you know, all that great stuff, but they just weren't comfortable being on camera. And, you know, they didn't want anybody to know, hey, it's her who got the truck, yada, yada. So out of respect for them, I didn't, you know, film any of that, but I did not know that until they were basically standing right here. So I was reluctant because, you know, when you're selling, people promise a bunch of stuff, especially when they're out of town, right? So when you're selling something and somebody's like, hey, I'm coming from, you know, across the country, I'm like, oh, sure you are, right? But sure enough, you know, she was like, hey, is it still available? You know, and I was like, yeah, I'm on my way. And I was like, okay, well, still, you know, I was like, all right, she's probably going to text in a couple hours and be like, whoa, something happened or whatever, right? So I just didn't really think much of it. And her and one of her relatives showed up, had a cashier's check for me, and that was that. So I honestly didn't even really have time to film kind of like a going away for the Tremor, which, you know, really bums me out. But I'm super happy that it's going to a buyer who is like over the moon about it, right? She couldn't get her order in for whatever reason and came into some money recently, wanted exactly the spec that I had, knew that she wasn't going to be able to get it for a very long time, and kind of offered to pay a premium for it, right? I had other car dealerships and everybody and CarMax and you name it putting out offers that were all around that. So I don't know. I feel bad, but again, I don't, because at least she got it from me and she's not paying $45,000, you know, with a 10% interest rate from some scumbag car lot, right? So did I make some money on it? Yep. It will help me out moving forward to do some modifications to this and the Ranger. And I'll tell you, I did get a very, very compelling offer on this. Somebody offered me $30,000 to buy this XL hybrid. Keep in mind, I paid $23,500 for this, right? So I'd be netting out, you know, $6,500 just to kind of give up my truck. And as much as I would like to have that money, you know, like, I kind of need a primary vehicle a little bit more than I need a little bit of, you know, a chunk of money. Because what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to take that money and put it into something else that's not going to be as good of a package as this. So yeah, big news, but there will be more Maverick content coming. And I apologize for not being able to kind of film a proper sending off for the Tremor. But, you know, who knows? Maybe I'll get another one in the future. That is a really good looking truck, especially when you see it in person. I would challenge all of you to try to go and take a look at that in person and let me know, you know, well, this isn't worth it or whatever, because there was a lot of people kind of talking smack about the Tremor and stuff, and I'm telling you, when you see it, your mind's going to change. So alrighty folks, enough rambling from me. Thanks for watching, stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.